Good morning and welcome to Morning Coach today. I am so glad you're with us. Hey, it's JB. It's Monday, July 7th, ready to take it on, episode 5750 here at Morning Coach. We're having some fun as we're getting into this month. Last week, we kind of stepped back from our compass. We're back at it this month or this week, and we're going to be really getting into self-expression and some creativity. And we're going to have a lot of fun this week. I hope you're ready to buckle in and think about some new ways of doing things, have some fun, and enjoy this process. As always, make sure you take time for your morning ritual, take time for self-care, listen to the CoachCast, get organized with your planner or with our systems, whatever you're doing to make sure you got the right perspective and the right priorities so we can win that day today. We want to really get after it and make it happen. And of course, for those of you that are getting more involved, stop by the community for accountability, question support. We're here to support you. The whole team excited about what we've got going on. And I would be remiss to tell you, make sure you check that news section out because we're always adding and doing things and love to have you participate in the things that we're doing, like I said, by checking out that news area. This week, we've got some really cool topics. We're going to be talking about self-expression today and why that's so important. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the creative act, and we're going to get into the book study, A Way of Being by Rick Rubin. I did this years ago, but if you don't know Rick Rubin, if you look at the history of music and a lot of the music that was produced, the Beastie Boys, all the way through a lot of heavy metal and rock. Rick Rubin had a big part of that. And his book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being, is a book that I really love. I did the book study years ago when it first came out. But we're going to do it because we're talking about self-expression this week. We're going to talk about creativity. And I've got some points I want to make from the book that will help you. So we'll start that tomorrow. Wednesday, we've got finding time to be creative. How can we work that muscle? Thursday, can a business be creative? That's an Ask JB. I get that a lot. And can you make a business out of creativity? We're going to go over that. Friday is financial expression with creativity. Excited about Friday. Obviously, Saturday, Dr. Paul has been doing our longevity series. And then Sunday, we've got spiritual creative solutions. So the idea is to really start working the right brain this month, start working creativity. And it's a new week at Morning Coach, and really this month is all about creativity and communication. It is a do month, means we take action in our PDCA focus, but we really want to dive into self-expression. We're in the do phase, like I said. So this week, get your aligned action, not just a plan, but express it. And today's topic is self-expression tips, practical ways to unlock your voice and live your truth. And I want to start off talking about a client I had, Daniel. Years ago, I worked with a coaching client named Daniel. Super smart guy, analytical, successful. He was systems driven. But every week, he just showed up gray. He just wore a gray hoodie, gray background, gray energy. He was just muted. He just was really muted, and it was just gray, right? So we've been around those people that you just don't feel their energy, and they're kind of shut off, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I asked him, why are you always wearing gray? And he said, I don't think it matters. I'd rather not think about it. I'll never forget this conversation, but I knew it wasn't efficiency. He was hiding something. So I gave him a challenge. I said, Friday, wear a color that reflects a part of you that you've been holding back. Let's express something. So Friday, he came in, he showed him a bright yellow shirt, and he sent me a message. He goes, this feels ridiculous. But something changed. He smiled more, spoke more freely. He started to light up the room. And in the weeks that followed, he painted his home office wall blue. He started sketching again, something he hadn't done in 20 years. He even shared a poem. That yellow shirt was a turning point. He gave himself permission to express. And what happened is his confidence grew, his leadership evolved, and he stopped playing small. So self-expression isn't about being loud. It's about being real, and it often starts with something small like a yellow shirt. And so how can we express ourselves? And we really want to think about that. So when we think about our frameworks, ILD and Sacred Six, how about our mission and vision? Are we expressing your why through your daily actions? Are you really living it? Are you expressing yourself? And the team, are you bringing your true self into your relationships, into the community? Are you bringing your true self out there, or are you getting held back? right? In communication, are you clear and authentic in how you speak, write, and connect? And of course, what is your commitment to growth? Are you evolving your voice through learning and action? Because we want to be able to move people. It's just not about speaking. I go on social media and I dread it sometimes because people are just screaming. Everybody's talking and nobody's listening. And so in order to break through that, you really got to be clear in your communication, be able to determine what you're going to do, what problems you solve, going to ILD way, and be able to put that energy out there, right? And so you can self-express, but you've got to be able to find your voice. And we want to amplify that voice because that voice is important. If we're going to make changes in the world, you've got to be able to communicate. If you're a parent or a grandparent, you've got to be able to be that voice where people respect and look at you. And you may, like Daniel, if you're thinking gray, you may be hiding instead of projecting. And, I get it. You can be tactical with this. I'm very introverted, empathic, don't like to be around people, don't like to talk about what I do. I mention that a lot. I don't mind speaking. If I get called in to speak, I have fun with that. But all the rest of that stuff with people, I don't enjoy. I don't want to be screaming out loud. I don't want my voice to be heard. But I want to be able to have influence. And in order to have influence, you got to, walk softly but carry a big stick. We've heard that. And that's what we're talking about today, being able to be creative and be able to be the person that you are without, not being inauthentic. So I'll never forget, when I wrote Get Out of Neutral, I went out there and tried to build a business. And if you look at the back of that cover, a few of you have that book, you're going to see me in a suit and tie with my braces and a suit and tie. It was right when I had left work and I was going out to do that. The reason I was in a suit and tie is I paid an image consultant to tell me what to look like. And I was literally, I didn't have any money. I put it on a credit card. It's probably one of the worst decisions among a lot of decisions that I made that were a problem. But they, said, you got to look like a PhD. You've got to dress like one. And so I would go out there and there wasn't anybody buying anything from me. Like, it was bad. Like, nobody would buy my books. Nobody would hire me to speak. And I just said, screw it. If I'm going to suck this bad, like my business is going to collapse, I'm going to collapse being me. And that's why I got rid of the suit, started wearing jeans. I started wearing my T-shirts, or as Nancy DeLay called my shorts, my business shorts. She would laugh because I used to wear my business shorts. And I literally just said, I am going to be me. I'm going to express who I am. I'm not going to worry about what anybody thinks. I'm not going to worry about what the image consultant said. I am just going to be me. And that's when I started to find success. I was able to start putting myself out there. And the same thing with the Coach Cast. Like back in 2005, 2006, when I started this, I didn't have a lot of success. It was about 100 episodes in, maybe 80 episodes in. I started to get some traction and we really went top 25 on iTunes. But I had to find my voice. And then I had to get confidence in my voice. And I know that imposter syndrome, a lot of this has to do with you building the belief and then having the mission to say, hey, and the vision of this is who I'm going to become, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to let anybody else get in my way. And realize it's not we've all seen the thing that's been shared, right, before, which, like, it's not a linear path to success. It's actually a scribble. And that's the way we go. But we want to be able to express ourselves in the way that we are, being truly authentic. So here's some practical tips that you can do, okay? Number one is voice journal. Record a 2-minute voice memo every day to speak to your truth without editing. And I like this. A lot of people are using the Plod device. Our new software system has an MP3 reader. It's not the best. I'm still working on it. But you can record and then put it up, and it'll break your tasks out. There's some really cool things going on with voice and being able to record. And it's a really great, efficient way. In fact, when I'm overwhelmed and I've got so much going on, a lot of times I will just put all my stuff together, go on .io, which I'm using currently. Again, I don't want to talk too much about that here. We'll talk about it in the community, but then it gives me my to-do list. So learn to record, learn to use your voice. You can use a voice memo on your phone, or for those of you using a Plod device, which I really like, I use mine. I have both of them. I have the credit card one and the regular one. Use it to get your voice out there. And again, record a 2-minute voice memo every day this week to speak to your truth without editing. really cool way to connect. And if you're having issues with some of the things I'm talking about, the applaud and that type of stuff, post in the community. It helps everybody. Like, wow, I want more information on this. I did a really good video on ILD about the applaud. So there's information for you, but you just got to ask, and we can help you with a lot of these tools, okay? Style signal. Wear one item today that feels aligned with who you are. What is your style? I've mentioned before, it's been a while, but when I speak, I have a uniform. So I use shoes. Let's talk about shoes. For years, I've used Kohans, but I do use Nikes now sometimes, some Jordans, just because they got popular and it was fun and things change. So that when I go to New York, if I'm speaking in New York, which I used to do a lot, Marriott Grand Marquis, I used to speak a lot downtown New York. I'd fly in. First thing I'd do is go to Kohan. I'd buy my shoes. Now I'll order some on Nike, but typically I'll order a pair of shoes every time I speak. And then jeans. I'm a jeans guy, so I go to Diesel, right to Diesel Aventura Mall, grab me a new pair of jeans, which I always like, and I get a really good, nice pair of jeans. Again, these are not cheap, but I use them for speaking as part of the business. Then I go to Hugo Boss, and I buy Hugo Boss shirt, which is really important because it fits, and it's just my style. So I have a Hugo Boss shirt, Diesel jeans, and just in full disclosure, when I was, a couple years ago in the 90s, those are True Religion jeans. Remember True Religion with the big pockets? Yeah, I switched to Diesel. But yeah, so I have Diesel jeans, and I know I don't have to think about it. It's my style. And I just go. I got a nice Hugo Boss shirt, I got a nice pair of jeans, and I got a nice pair of shoes. And there's a lot of things that we can talk about with having a uniform. You don't have to think about what you're wearing when you go out. And as you become more and more of a professional, especially when it comes to self-expression, being able to express yourself professionally is really important. Being able to have some style. And again, thinking about the suit thing, if I go speak and I'm at a convention and everybody else in a suit, I just blend in. I want to be me. I want to be unique. I want them either to love me or hate me. Honestly, the middle ground is a really bad spot when you're trying to get people to move. They either got to say, hey, I don't like you. This is not, this is not stuff that I want. Or they got to say, man, I love this guy. There's no real middle ground. If they're like, and all of a sudden you're just like everybody else that's in a suit. And there's so many people that are out there in the speaking world that do that. And I'm not saying you're going to be a speaker. What I'm saying is find your style, okay? Find your style. Okay, so we got two things so far. A voice journal, you can start getting that. And I want you to think about that from productivity too, by the way. If you can start using your voice. I'm not going to have you do a podcast. I mean, there's a few people that are. I think Lewis sent an email last week, a week ago, asking for podcasting stuff, which is great. Again, send emails in. But I'm not going to ask you to do that. There's so many of them out there right now on YouTube and podcasts. But if you want to start, you can get going. There's a lot out there. When I started, there was nobody. But learn to use your voice for efficiency. I'm not saying for get it out there. What I'm saying is for you. Voice memos are really powerful, especially with AI and our system now, the ability to use your voice, put things together and upload it and have it translated is huge. Or the Applaud device, which I use a lot. Okay. I love to record a phone call if I'm talking to somebody and just get the meeting notes. A lot of things you could do to be more efficient. So get your style. Okay, get something together. And then here's another one for you. 3-word prompt. Write down 3 words each morning that express who you want to be today. Who do you want to be today? 3 words. Self-expression, vision. Who do you want to become? I think this is one of the most exciting processes or pieces of evolution here at Morning Coach as we started to get more into vision. Because we started off, and the history, I wrote the book Sacred Six with a big mission, it's your overall mission, which we don't really even work with. That's why people that don't stick with Morning Coach, right, and don't work with it, they just don't evolve with the system because they're listening to stuff that's, 10 years old, 20 years old. We are really moving. We're evolving at a very, very fast clip. So, and the reason is we're seeing tremendous success. So you can have an overall mission. I think that's great. But then we have our mission, which is what you're going to do, and the vision we broke out of who you're going to become. So think about that. 3 words this morning that express who you want to be. Your voice is your gift. Your energy speaks louder than your words. That's why I talk about posture and presence. 5 and 6 on our P's, because as you come out of the gate, people are going to notice you. They're either going to have posture or you're going to have presence. If you don't, then it's a challenge. So I challenge you to step forward, speak truthfully, dress intentionally, move with clarity. Let the world see the real you. Start small, maybe even with the yellow shirt, as Daniel did. Let's go, all right? Let's get after it. Let's express. The world needs you. Okay, lots of love. Let's get the week started, and I'll be back tomorrow as we're going to do Rick Rubin's book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being, and we're going to get into the creative self tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. But today, let's work on our self-expression. Okay, I'll see you up in morningcoach.com.